Okay, now this is the second video in the extension 1 division of an interval videos. Okay, this is the last video in this particular topic. Now the question is from exercise 7.10, it's question 4, and it says divide the interval AB where A equals 3, 2 and B is -1, 6, and you have to divide it into 3 equal parts. Now I'm going to do a quick sketch of this question. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 2, roughly probably about there, and -1, 6, let's say it's roughly about there. So this is point A, which is 3, 2, and this is point B, which is -1, 6. So I'm just going to join those 2 points. And look, you have to divide it into 3 equal parts. So we don't want to divide it in the middle. We need it in 3 equal parts. So I'm going to roughly say, well, maybe the first bit's there and the second one's somewhere here, and then the third bit's there. So you've got to think, what ratio are you going to be dividing that interval up? And so the ratio is not given. So if you divide it into 3 equal parts, then one of the ratios will be 1 and the other one will be 2. So if I divide it in the ratio of 1 to 2, then the point that I will end up will be there. Then this next point I can get by finding the midpoint of the point, let's say P to B, if that should be the midpoint of that. Or I could start again with this same process and divide in the ratio of 2 to 1. So I think we should go with the midpoint. So if I do this in the ratio of 1 to 2, that's how I'm going. Then I should find point P. Okay, so I'm going to write this all out in order. I've got to write point A out first and then point B, and then I'm going to divide it in the ratio of 1 is to 2, and I should get this point P here that's closer to A rather than this point over here that's closest to B. So I'm going to do that now. So my first point 3, 2, my second point is -1, 6, and remember it's an internal division, so we keep the ratio positive, and we've worked out the ratio is going to be 1 to 2. Okay, so we'll do our crisscross thing here, and we start with the left hand side. So my point P is going to be, it's going to have an x value and a y value. So the x value is formed by doing 1 times -1 plus 2 times 3. Remembering we're doing this ratio times both the x values over 1 plus 2. And the y value of the point comes from doing 1 times 6 plus 2 times that y value over there, which is 2 times 2 over 1 plus 2. And we work that out and we'll get -1 plus 6, which is 5. So we get 5 over 3. And over here we get 6 plus 4 is 10 over 3. So that point is actually 1 2/3 and 3 1/3. And that looks about right. If this is the point 3 across 2 up, then yes, that could be about 1 2/3. And if this is 2 here, then that looks like it's about 3 1/3. Okay, so we've got the coordinates of point P, and I'm going to write them on the diagram. And they are 1 2/3, 3 1/3. Now, if we want 3 equal parts, I can now just really find the midpoint of PB. Okay, so I'm going to do that just over here. Okay, so I'm going to find the midpoint of PB. Okay, and to do the midpoint, remember we add the x values together. So we go -1 plus 1 2/3 divided by 2. So remember they're -1 plus 1 2/3 divided by 2, comma, 6 plus 3 1/3 divided by 2. So we're adding then with the y values together and dividing by 2. -1 plus 2/3 is positive 2/3. If you divide that by 2, 2/3 divided by 2 is 2 over 6, which is 1/3. And if we do 6 plus 3 1/3, that's 9 1/3. And if you divide that by 2, you might want to use your calculator for that one, you will get 4 2/3. Okay, now we would have got exactly this same point if we would have divided this interval in the ratio of 3 to 2. Okay, my lighting, okay, it's better now. So I'm actually going to do that as well. I'm going to call that midpoint of PB point Q. Okay, but what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to divide 3, 2 and negative 1, 6 in the ratio of 2 to 1. And you will see, actually I'll just move that down, and you will see that you should get that same answer. You should get that answer of 1/3, 4 and 2/3. So I'm going to do my little crisscross thing here. Okay, so point Q this is going to be, and that is starting from the left and my x values, 2 times negative 1 plus 1 times 3 over 2 plus 1, comma, and doing my y values, 2 times 6 plus 1 times 2 over 2 plus 1, and working that out, you get negative 2 plus 3 is 1, 1 over 3 is 1/3, and over here, and sorry, I've just had to cut a bit of the video there, so hopefully there isn't a big gap. And to do this y value, it's 2 times 6, which is 12, plus 2, which is 14 over 3. Now 14 over 3 is 4 and 2/3. Okay, now note that that's that same point as we got over here, 1/3, 4 and 2/3, 1/3, 4 and 2/3. So you could have done it either way. Okay, and that's the end of that example. And we're going to do another 2 examples. Okay, this is our 4th example from exercise 7.10. It's question 6 in that exercise. Now, it says if interval AB is divided internally at P in the ratio of, an interval AB is divided internally at P in the ratio of 5 to 4. If A is negative 1, 2, and P is 5, negative 6, find the coordinates of B. Now I'm going to draw a quick sketch. You won't have to do that, but I'm doing it so that you can actually see how we've got the internal and the external division happening. So I've done a quick sketch here, and here's point A, and we don't know what point B is. So A is negative 1, 2, point P is 5, negative 6, and this interval AB, well, I haven't got the point B, but B will be down here because AB is divided internally at P, so P has to lie between A and B, and it's divided in the ratio of 5 to 4. So this part here will be 5 parts, and then I should get, another bit down here, which will be a bit smaller than that length there. It should be 4 parts. So I'm expecting point B to be somewhere down here. We're thinking it'll be bigger than 10 and, negative, I'm not sure, more than negative 10 down there. So we're expecting point B somewhere down here. Okay, so I'm going to start the question. Okay, now I don't know, I'm going to write my 2 points up. I've got negative 1, 2, and I'm going to let B, I'm going to let its coordinates be x, y. So point A, remember we put the 2 points up here, so we've got point A there, point B is x, y. We know that the ratio is 5 to 4, but what we do know this time is actually the answer that we will get, and the answer that we're going to get is 5, negative 6. But what I'm going to do with this one, because my answer is 5, negative 6, 5 is my x value, and negative 6 is my y value. So I'm going to go that 5 equals, remember we do 5 times the x value plus 4 times that x value, 4 times negative 1, over, we add these two together, over 5 plus 4. Okay, so we set that up there for the x value. Now this y value here, this point P, this negative 6 value was formed by doing 5 times that y value plus 4 times that y value over, again, 5 plus 4. Now we can solve both these equations. So we've got 5 equals 5x minus 4 over 5 plus 4, which is 9. Solving that, we get 45 equals 5x minus 4, and adding 4 to the other side, we get that 49 equals 5x, and therefore x is 49 over 5, which is almost 10. It's actually 9 and 4/5. Okay, so that's my x value of my point here. Okay, so this is point B down here somewhere, and its x value is 9 and 4/5. Still got to work out what the y value is. So from here we'll work out the y value. So we've got negative 6 equals 5y plus 8 over 9. Multiplying by 9 we get negative 54 equals 5y plus 8. Taking this 8 to the other side, we get negative 62 equals 5y. And so y is negative 62 on 5, which is negative 12 and 2/5. And that seems like a reasonable value to have down here for b. So negative 12 and 2/5. Okay? And I'll just move that over a little bit. Okay? And so you can see that p is internally dividing the interval AB in the ratio of 5 to 4. And we were given the point B and we had to find one of the other endpoints. Now this is similar to when you're given the midpoint of an interval and one of the endpoints, but you have to find the other endpoint, where you set up the equation and you solve for x and you solve for y. So therefore your point B, I'll just write that down here, is 9 and 4/5, negative 12 and 2/5. Okay, and that's the end of that question. Now for example 5, and this is from exercise 710 again, question 7. Now it says the point 55 divides the interval between negative 1p and q6 in the ratio of 2 to 5. Find the values of p and q. Again, writing your 2 points in order. Remember, that is the answer. 5 is the answer, because that point divides this interval negative 1p and q6 in the ratio of 2 to 5. So I'll write my 2 points in order, which are negative 1p and q6, and I put my ratio of 2 to 5 underneath. I do my little crisscross thing, and my point here, 5 is actually my answer. So we'll do the x's first. So the answer for the x's is 5. So again, starting from this side, we go 2 times that x value, which is 2q, plus 5 times that x value is 5 times negative 1, over 2 plus 5, which is 7. We'll fix that up in a minute. So we get 5 equals 2q minus 5 over 7. 35 is equal to 2q minus 5. 2q is 40, so therefore q is 20. So that's my first value for q. And then I have to work out my other value. So remember, we've just set up our equation in x. And now for our y value here is 5. And we start here from the left again, and we do 2 times this y value, which is 2 times 6, plus 5 times that y value, which is 5 times p, over adding the 2 and the 5 together, which is 7. So we get that 5 equals 12 plus 5p over 7. Multiplying by 7, we get 35 equals 12 plus 5p. Then we get that 5p equals 35 minus 12, which is 23. And so p is 23 over 5, which is 4 and 3/5. So therefore, if I did a quick sketch of this problem, my point is negative 1, 4 and 3/5, and this point over here is 26. So I can do a quick sketch, but it's not going to be very accurate. So I'll just do a really quick one. So I've got negative 1p, which is negative 1, 4 and 3/5. I'll just say, let's say that's about here. Okay. And my other point is q6, which is 20. I'll say that's all the way down here. And 6, if that was 4 and 3/5, it'll just be a bit higher. So let's say that that's that other point. So I've got negative 1, 4 and 3/5. And my other point here is 26. And that's divided in the ratio of 2 to 5. Now my answer was that 0.55 divides that. So if that's 20 up to there, that's about 10. So here's my answer of 55. So this is my point P that divides that ratio, that interval in the ratio of, well, this does look about 2, and they're saying that this is 5. And that one is bigger than that. All right, I haven't really drawn it that well to scale. The point could probably be a little bit further along there. Okay, so it does look like an interval of a ratio of 2 to 5. Now for the last example, this example 6. This is a modified version of a question in the challenge section. Now, the question says that the point P, which is -7, 7, lies on the line joining the points A, which is -2, 0, and B, which is 3, -7. And we have to find the ratio in which the point P, divides AB. So I'll do a quick sketch. Let's say this is -7 up here. So let's say this is point P up here, which is -7, 7. And it lies on the line joining the points -2, 0 and the point 3, -7 somewhere down here. I've just got to make sure that they form a straight line. I'll just pause the video and just fix that up. So here I'll just do it again. This point P, which is -7, 7, does line on the line joining the points A, which is -2, 0, and B, which is 3, -7. Notice that P lies outside of AB, and we have to find, so it is an external division, so we have to find the ratio in which point P divides AB, and it is going to be a negative ratio, so one of the answers will be positive and the other one will be negative. And remember, the ratio is going from A to P and then going from P to B. Notice that A to P is smaller than P to B, so we're expecting a smaller number first and then a larger number next, and with also a negative sign. Okay, so I'm going to start this question. Remember, we write our first 2 points up in order. So our first point is -2, 0. Our second point is 3, -7. And we normally write our ratio down here, but because we don't know what the ratio is, we're going to call the ratio m to n, just like the formula. And we know that the answer to our problem is -7, 7. So -7 is the x value of that point, and 7 is the y value of that point. So I'm going to set up my equation. So my first equation deals with the x's. So I get x equals, remember we start from the left, we get m times 3, or 3m, plus n times -2, which is plus -2n over m plus n. And that gives me my x value. Sorry, we do know what that x value is, and the x value is -7. So I'm going to put that in now. Okay? Okay, and I'll set up my equation with the y value, which is 7 is equal to, remember, it's this m times the y value. So we get m times -7 is -7m, plus we get this n times 0, which is 0n, over m plus n. Now I'm going to solve this, we're going to just multiply, get rid of the denominator by multiplying both by m plus n. So -7 times m plus n equals 3m minus 2n. So I get -7m minus 7n equals 3m minus 2n. I'm going to take everything, I think, over to the right hand side here, because then they'll all be positive, and I get 3m plus 7m is 10m, and -2n plus 7n is plus 5n equals 0, and I'm going to call that equation 1. Now we've got two unknowns here, so we're going to actually have to solve two equations. We're going to actually have to set up simultaneous equations. So over here I'm going to do the same. So I've got 7 times m plus n equals -7m plus 0, so I don't need to write that. So I get 7m plus 7n equals -7m. Taking everything over to the left, I get 14m plus 7n equals 0, and I'm going to call that equation 2. So now I have to solve these equations simultaneously. Okay, what I think I'll do, I'll make either the m or the n values the same. I think we'll make the n values the same, so I'm going to do equation 1 times 7. So I'll get 70m plus 35n equals 0. And I'm going to do equation 2 times 5. And 14 times 5 is 50, is 90. No, it's 70m plus 35, wait a sec, I'll just double check that. Okay, so I do get 70m plus 35n equals 0. Now, I've actually ended up with two same equations, so that doesn't seem like that's going to work. I can't work with that, so I'm just going to abandon that for a minute. And I'm just going to start again with that first one, 10m plus 5n equals 0. I think I'll make n or m the subject. I think I'll make m the subject. So I've got 5, sorry, I keep changing my mind, yep. So I've got that 10m equals negative 5n, so m equals negative 5n over 10, or m equals negative n on 2, okay? So what I'm going to do with that is that I'm going to substitute that into my other equation. So I'm going to substitute that sub m equals negative n on 2 into equation 2. Now remember, this up here did not work for us, so I'm actually going to cross that out. I'm going to cross this out because I ended up with two equations that were identical, so that I'm not able to use simultaneous equations with two equations that are identical. So I had to abandon that method and decide to solve by substituting instead. So what I did was I rearranged, that was rearranging equation 1, and then substituting it into equation 2. Now this should work. So I've got, now I'm going to substitute m equals negative n on 2 into this equation 2 up here. So I've got 14 times negative n on 2, I don't think this is going to work either, plus 7n equals 0. And so I get negative 7n plus 7n is 0, which we know already, so that's not working either. So this is not a good idea either. But actually, girls, the answer is actually staring us in the face. So remember, m and n are a ratio. So if I look at this, so I don't want to substitute it, I'm getting that m equals negative n on 2. So for example, if, say, m was 2, then, sorry, let's say if n was 2, for example. So if, say, n is equal to 2, then m would equal negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1, sorry. Wait, I'll just do this on the next line. Then m will equal, according to this formula, that m equals negative n on 2. So if n is 2, then m is negative 2 on 2, which is negative 1. So therefore, we want the simplest ratio of m to n. And I've just got that I've got m is negative 1 and n is 2. Let's say I decided to choose if n is 4, then m would have been negative 2. Remember, it's the ratio of m to n. So if I would have got negative 2 and 4, I could have then simplified that ratio to negative 1 and 2. So therefore, our answer is negative 1 to 2. So the ratio in which the point P divides AB is, we will say, therefore, the answer is P divides AB externally. Okay, externally in the ratio of 1 is to 2. Now looking back here, I could have got negative 1 to 2, or I could have got 2 to negative 1. Okay? And look, I'm glad we actually went through that, because that could happen to you in an exam where you have a dead end here and you also get a dead end there. And the reason we're getting the dead ends is that there is no specific value for m and n. What we're really just looking for is the ratio of m to n. So actually, if I come from here, what I really should do is rearrange this m equals negative n on 2 into m, rearrange it and put m over n equals negative 1 on 2. That's actually really what I should have done. So we can see here, we're just rearranging and putting m over n will give us -1/2. So therefore the ratio of m to n is -1/2 or 1/-2, or we can say that P divides AB externally in the ratio of 1:2. Now I'm going to leave that all there. I could cut my video, rewind back and delete all that, but I'd rather show you that you can go to this path that will lead you nowhere, also this path that leads you nowhere, and that we're really looking for the ratio of m to n. So I think that this example is quite a good one, and also trying to work out m and n is not really going to work, that you're actually just trying to find the ratio of m to n. And that's the end of this video. So I'm just going to work out which questions you're going to do, so I'll just write that down in a minute. Okay, this is your homework. So for division of an interval homework from exercise 7.10, you want to do question 1J, 2J, question 3, 9 and 10. And then from the challenge, you can do from challenge 7, challenge chapter 7, you can do question 19, 21, 23 and 25. I will also be sending you some past HSC questions to do, and also some practice examination questions. And also you have the questions from the 3 past papers that you will have received from me. Okay, so that's it for this second video. That should be enough work for you to do. Thank you.